Replay viewers, if you're coming in, I'm just making sure that all feeds are working. What you see is the title card with my friend Jenn Nelson. As soon as I get all of the feeds going, and I'm confident that they're live, I will start the program. In the meantime, we're just waiting on Facebook. And it's live too. Okay, let me get rid of the title card and bring the show to a start here. Hey folks, today I've got Jenn Nelson. She is a professional live streamer. I will bring her in after the music.
You are listening to Entrepreneur Live Video with Todd.LIVE, broadcasting from sunny Southern California. This is a place where the most talented online live video personalities and marketers share what works for them as live video becomes the most effective megaphone to the world man has ever known. Without further ado, here is your host, Todd.LIVE.
Yeah, folks listening on the podcast, welcome. I am actually recording this in Facebook, YouTube, and Periscope. I'm doing a TriCast, and I have a live stream professional, Jenn Nelson, with me today. I'll bring in a moment. She has been doing live stream, I think, probably longer than me. I've been doing it since, I don't know, late 2015. And she does all sorts of stuff. She's been involved in countless shows, including Ladies Go Live and VitMug is her company, but Wine Antics and others. I mean, she's done so many shows and been on so many shows that I couldn't even name them all. She's got a production company with Jonathan Tripp called VitMug Productions. They do live video productions, which is a very interesting thing. So let's just go ahead and bring her right on to the program. Hey, Jenn, how you doing?
Doing quite well. Doing my due diligence as a live streamer and as a good guest and sharing it out, sharing this content out.
Thank you so much.
You're welcome.
We are, as I said, folks, we are on Facebook, Periscope, and YouTube. I sometimes question why I bother with Periscope. It's such a platform. It's just dead. It's trolls and death.
I kind of agree. I think I ended Periscope with Wine Antics live probably 4 months ago, just because that was all I was getting. And even if I was all there all the time, like that big engagement kind of factor, I was still getting trolled so much.
It's terrible. It's kind of like one of those things like I do it because it's there and because I can. I mean, I did that with Meerkat until Meerkat was gone. I was one of the last, in fact, I looked at Meerkat when I was on Meerkat, and the reason I didn't give it up is because Ty Lopez was still doing it. And once he quit, it was like, okay, Meerkat's finally done. Like, I'm not going to do it anymore. Once he was gone, he was like the last remaining soldier. And once he was gone, I guess I stayed a little longer than him, but I loved Meerkat. I have to say, I love what Periscope can do, and I love the audio and video quality when you're streaming into it is just beautiful, but there's no value as far as the viewership goes.
I totally agree. I think people that have made their mark on Periscope have already made their mark, and they are seeing some success there. And it's kind of like the growth of any platform, right? If you're there in the grassroots and in the very early stages, and you continue on the path of growth and success, you will continue to see growth and success. I didn't nurture Periscope as much as I could have or should have. So my audience is more towards Facebook, and I don't mind that.
Did you see this morning? Oh, you did see. We talked about it before the show, the big changes at Facebook. Big changes.
Yes. And I listened to Brian Fanzo earlier today talking about it, and I love how excited he is again for Facebook, and how much more passionate all of a sudden one change with Facebook can turn an entrepreneur on his heels and reinvigorate him. And he is all about not having FOMO or curbing your FOMO and creating this community and think like a fan. So all of these Facebook changes that are towards family, towards friends, trying to spark conversation is right up his alley. And I learned a ton from just listening to one of my peers. And I love that about live streaming.
Yeah, I need to check out Brian's show and his response to the changes this morning. Folks, I want to remind people in the podcast that this is recorded several weeks before I drop it into the podcast. I do like to work my podcasts ahead. So some of this, we're talking about Facebook dropping this big announcement this morning. This happens to be January 12th that I'm recording this podcast. So I promise that the information that follows in the rest of this podcast is not going to be dated. There's going to be plenty for you to learn about Jenn, about live streaming, but I do record these significantly in advance so that I can maintain sanity running 2 podcasts that drop daily for you folks. So please forgive the fact that there is a slight delay. So Jenn, there's a lot of people that probably listen to my podcast who may not know you. And I did a slight introduction talking about some of the shows you've been involved in and your production company with Jonathan. But do you want to provide a little background as to, how you got started in live streaming and kind of what your shtick is in live streaming?
Sure, absolutely. And I've, as part of 2018, I've actually gone through and I realized that even my friends like you don't even know exactly all of the things that I do. So I need to simplify it for myself, right? And I wanted to take a moment. I see on Facebook, Carlos is out there.
Good morning, Carlos.
Hi. Good morning, Carlos. How you doing? And don't mind me if I take over the show, Todd, because I'm used to doing all of the things just like what you're doing.
I just put you on the screen by yourself. So you take it away.
Yes. All right. So when I in my past, I worked for the federal government. Before that, I was in the military. When I left all of that behind and kind of said, thank you to my past, I'm moving ahead. I see promise in the digital space and I want to get into marketing and I want to do something different. I looked at my life and I said, what are the things that I care about? Because I was leaving everything that I had known and going towards the unknown. So I had to really think about what I cared about. And when I thought about it, it was 4 things. It was the digital space. I really love digital marketing. I love technology and I wanted to do something for that. I love wine. If you don't know, I'm Wine Antics. I co-host a show with Stub from Cork Envy nearly every Thursday at 9 p.m. Eastern. The third thing is women's issues. I'm a woman. I care about women's issues and I want to be more knowledgeable about it and I want to stay active in it. So that was the third thing. And fourth is that I am a veteran. I care about veterans issues and they impact me. So those are the 4 things that I really care about. And I've been trying to model my career and my life around those things and doing things for that. And when I got my master's degree back in May of, I want to say 2016, I think it was only 2016, I realized that I'm not a social media expert. I'm not 19 years old and have been doing social media since I was 12, right? And I wanted to jump onto what was going to push me into the next stage of my life and something that I could latch onto and become an expert in. And live stream was it. And I've kind of moved live stream along each one of those 4 pillars, if we could say that, 4 pillars that I want to model my life off of. So I do Wine Antics Live, as I mentioned. I do Let's Live Stream, which is the only Twitter chat and live show produced by VitMug and hosted by Jonathan Tripp. I do the production behind the scenes, and that's my foray into digital, right? I do Ladies Go Live, which is my women's pillar, what I want to do and help women. And we hosted a giant virtual summit this past August, and we're looking to do things with women's International Women's Day coming up in March. So we're very excited about that. And I'm working on the veteran component. So I've done a ton of interviews in the social media space. I have attended many conferences, but I try to focus all of my work and my live streaming and my social media around those 4 things because I can't handle any more than 4 things. I don't know how you're handling 2 podcasts. So
well, you know what? 4 things is a lot. And, handling 2, I've got 2 brands, so to speak, going, and it's a lot. And a lot of the names, the bigger names that have made it will tell you you're nuts. You got to focus on the one thing. There's a book called The One Thing, right? It's the one thing, but it's tough to do just the one thing because there's so many things and everything's changing so fast. You and I were on the show, or before the show, we were talking about how Bitcoin's changing things. And I see a lot of our peers who are in live video and YouTube and social media, scrambling to get podcasts out on Bitcoin and shows on Bitcoin. And, I don't know if the days of the one thing are over, but, you just get involved in things. You collaborate with people, right? And you know, you can't focus on the one thing if you're going to collaborate and work on others, because you can't have everybody working on your one thing.
No. And I see Stephen Healy has popped in. Hi,
yeah, hey
Stephen.
Stephen,
Good
how you doing,
afternoon.
buddy?
I think that holistically as a human being, I want to feel like I'm contributing and making growth in the things that I care about. And whether that's me seeking sponsorship for Wine Antics Live, whether it's me creating a course for VitMug, whether that's building a membership for Ladies Go Live, I can't even focus on one thing at a time. Like, I am the type of person that's like, I can only give so much energy to one thing before I feel like I need to switch gears and create some juices and get them flowing so that I can work while working on another project, so I can go back to the other. And that's just me and my ADD. Let's just go ahead and say that.
Yeah. Well, you know, I think when you're a content creator and you're trying to do the kind of things that we're doing, it's very easy to get wrapped up in all of it. And it's, you know, it's kind of like, you know, I look at, you know, where I'm going to take my business or businesses. It's kind of like the social media thing. Like, I want to be on Twitter. I want to be on Facebook. I want to be on Periscope. I want to be on, you know, YouTube. I want to be on Instagram. I want to do live video. I want to have a blog. I want to, you know, you want to have a podcast. I mean, it just never ends. And I think that we see the big picture and we got to start paring back. And then once you pare back, I feel like the place I'm at right now, this is why I was able to take on 2 podcasts. I felt like I was paring things back. Like, I'm going to focus on Instagram. I'm going to focus on my blog. I'm going to focus on my podcast. And if I have time, I'm going to focus on YouTube. I'm going to ditch Twitter as far as really worrying about it. I'm going to ditch Facebook as far as really worrying about it. Yeah, will I still post? Will I, you know, but am I going to worry about it? Am I going to try to have this major effort? And so by paring it back and only caring about the podcast, the blog, you know, Instagram, I think Instagram is huge. You know, it really allowed me to focus in, okay, I can take on an Instagram topic. I can take on a live video topic in a podcast. And I think, you know, the same thing for you. I mean, you just have to look at, you know, how are you going to promote Ladies Go Live? How are you going to promote Wine Antics? How, you know, if you're involved in 4 different things, you know, make it all Instagram, or make it all Instagram and YouTube, or, you know, you'll make your life a lot simpler.
You know how I promote all those things? I get people to follow me.
Right.
And Stephen Healy put out something that's really important of how I'm able to do all these different projects. It's because, like he said, there's only one of you. You need a team.
Right.
And every one of these projects that I work on, I'm not the only one. And I have I'm not saying I've grandmaster orchestrated it to be this way, but I work best in a team. It gives me the flexibility to be able to work on other projects and then have some accountability and have other people to brainstorm with. It's just me. I work really well in a team, and I'm able to float around and do different things. But as a person, I get to weave and tell this story and keep people going along with me in the journey through Instagram stories, through Facebook stories, through Instagram, through Facebook itself, because that's primarily where I work in, and then secondarily into Twitter. And I love it. And I think Stephen is right on point there. You have to have a team to be able to do the things that you want to. And you're an island, sir. I don't know.
Well, you know what? I'm very much an introvert. That might surprise people, but I'm very much an introvert. Like, if I'm at a party, I'm not the guy shaking hands and striking up conversations with people. I know that on live video, I seem to get on here and feel fairly comfortable or come across as fairly comfortable and confident and all that. And I am confident, but I'm an introvert, and I've spent 10 years working by myself. I mean, it's been 10 years since I worked in a professional capacity with another human being. I have been isolated in my work. I left the practice of law in 2008, and that was my last environment where I was around other people on a daily basis. I am around, I mean, if I'm around anyone, it's around my wife, because I work out of the house, or I work in my office that's down the street. But I'm by myself, and I turn on some music and I work all day, and I just get shit done. And I work in that. Now, do I work in group? Yeah, I love working with groups. But I think that my comfort zone is, I sit down and I just get stuff done.
No,
for what it's
and
worth.
that's a really important component to whether you're working independent or whether you're working in the group. The bottom line is you got to get shit done.
You do.
I know you said stuff, but I was like, no, it's so important that you got to get shit done.
Well, my podcast, I include all words. So, I mean, any word that you want to use in the English language, so long as it's not disparaging of people, I'm fine. F-bombs, you can knock yourself out if you want to add stress to something. I've had some doozies in my episodes, particularly on the Instagram. But I love what you do, and you're involved in a lot of things, and sometimes it seems spread thin, but other times it seems like you've got your game going. So, I mean, you're in your comfort zone, right? It's just a matter of keeping the ball rolling in 4 different things.
Yeah, it is. And I think even to your point of focusing, when yesterday, I did a New Year's check-in, and I just did a quick live stream from my office downstairs because I do work from home and spend a lot of time by myself. And I was like, well, it's almost 2 weeks into the new year. How are you guys doing? Let's check in. Let's have a conversation about it. And Joanne Kroll was on there, and she mentioned discipline in 2018 as her mantra. And then my friend Alina in the wine industry mentioned focus. And I think that there needs to be, even if you have multiple projects that you're working on, multiple teams you're working on, multiple passions that you're working on, you still have to have some kind of focus in what you're doing. Like throughout the year, what your end state is for your work with that group. And I didn't have that in 2017. So if I look like I had any of my stuff together in 2017, it was because I was just putting my head down and doing whatever crossed my desk. I said yes to a lot of things. I said no to some things, but I said yes to a lot of things just to get the experience and the practice. And sometimes you got to do that. But 2018 for me is, even though I have those 4 different avenues, 4 different pillars that I'm working on, I have very specific focuses that I'm gonna set. I haven't set them all yet. I've sent probably about 50% of them, and really cautiously say yes to things, and only if they really hit those focuses within each one of those lanes.
Yeah, I agree with that. Focus is key. That's what I'm working on that as well. The big word for me in 2018 is consistency.
Oh, gosh,
and
yes.
in 2017, consistency or lack of was just killing me. I mean, I tried to start a show, and a few weeks would go by, and it was too difficult to maintain like a schedule. I was trying to do a daily 10 o'clock in the morning show, a daily 5 o'clock, and I've got kids. I've got a wife. I work for myself. Life is very fluid. I don't have a structure in my schedule, and I have to find a way to be consistent in a life that has like you have a 9-to-5 job. There's structure. You get up in the morning, you go to work, you have to be there at 9 o'clock. You do what you're supposed to do. You get out at 5, you come home, you put your feet up. I mean, life is structured. You know, every moment of your day, what it's going to be. Because I'm self-employed, I don't go anywhere. Every day changes based on the needs of the people in my family. And I let that happen. I could end that, but I don't want to. It's part of in my opinion, the benefit of being self-employed is that you can do things for other people, and particularly your family, your wife and your kids, and you can be there. And, one day you're going to work really hard and work 13 hours. Maybe it's a Saturday, but the next day you're going to take the total day off and do whatever you want to do. Maybe it's a Monday, right?
I love that.
Yeah. So, for me, 2018 is all about consistency. And that's one of the reasons why I did the 2 podcasts. It forces me. And it's not necessarily consistency in my day, but it's consistency in my content and my ability to get content out there. And one of the things I had to do was to ditch live for a lot of it. Like I was trying to do everything where there was a live component. Okay. And for my people listening to the podcast who are interested in live video, I think Jenn can probably testify to this and agree with me that having a consistent live plan is very difficult.
Oh, yeah.
Because life happens. And it's very hard. And the other thing too, is it's very difficult to have, if as a live streamer, and I think Jenn, you can agree with this, and I want you to add to it, of course, both of these points, but if you try to do everything that you're creating to have a live component along with it, you're going to just drive yourself nuts.
Yeah. And I think that's kind of a product of the pace of live streaming that we've both been in between 2015 and 2016. It's always trying to get out in front of something, always try to have content out there that we feel like we're stretching ourselves thin and trying to do the next thing and prove that we're in the live streaming community a little bit, and like that our capability, we keep up with capabilities. And to that point, I think now where live streaming is going into 2018, that it's kind of solidified. And maybe because I'm within the community and it's like all around me, I feel very comfortable in it. But I know that live streaming for me is going to be a part of my long-term strategy. So in 2018, I am forgiving myself for the start and stop shows, because I've done it too, Todd, and I hope you do too. Forgive yourself for trying, right? And doing. And even though you feel bad about not being consistent, it's okay, because I've started and stopped shows a lot, right? Forgive myself of that and realize that this is happening longer term. We're going to be around and we're going to be doing live streaming for many years. So if you set 2018 goals and you say, hey, for me, I'm not saying that this is the only shows that I'm going to do, but if I just do a monthly show for Ladies Go Live, a weekly show for Wine Antics Live, and then the weekly Let's Live Stream, and that I have varying parts in, right? I'm not on camera. I'm not doing all those things. And if that's all I'm doing, as long as it's, achieving measurable goals, we're okay. Because if another opportunity comes up, we can shift and we can change. And 2019 is going to bring live streaming as well.
Yeah, absolutely. Hey, I have a question for you, because you've done so many shows with a schedule, and I know you were on the show I just did a few minutes before our show. Folks, I recorded Nick Nimmin this morning as well. You might not have heard that podcast already, but Nick Nimmin made a point with success on YouTube. If you have a show, is having a set schedule and being there every single week at 10 o'clock, if that's what you're telling people you're going to do. And that will really help you, because people start building their life around their show if you're creating content that they like. And it brings that conversation. We really didn't have time to address it further, but I've had a lot of conversations with Professor Nez and Ross Brand, and I think you and I have discussed it before, the value of a scheduled show versus the value of an impromptu show. Mm-hmm. And Dr. Finch has encouraged Ross. I know Ross has told me this numerous times, that Dr. Finch has encouraged Ross to do more impromptu, just no scheduling, just turn on the camera and do your show and see what you get. Because I think that's what she does, and to great success. She has a great follower and fan base and community. So that works for her. But, I've kind of come to the conclusion that I don't know if my results are necessarily better. I haven't really done it long enough, but I know that my life is less stressful when I just go live when I can go live. And I'm not I'm not every Wednesday at 10 or every Friday at 5. And I just go live when I can go live. And I think I go live more, quite honestly.
Well, number one, it's up to the creator. Do you find comfort in structure? And if you find comfort in that, then there's no reason to not do that. If you don't do it. If you're looking to do, there's also value in doing both, doing stuff that is very scheduled, content driven, low engagement. And I don't mean no engagement. I just mean that you're saying hello to people. Like Rudy has come in. Hey, Rudy, how are you doing?
Can I break into, hey, Rudy, how you doing? And I am on Switchboard Live this morning, going to Periscope, Facebook, and YouTube. Love Switchboard Live. Sorry, Jen, I just wanted to throw that in case he popped back out.
Yeah, absolutely. And VitMug Productions uses Switchboard Live for all of their needs. And I personally use it for Wine Antics Live to go to YouTube.
Love it.
And Facebook. So I love Switchboard Live as well. But I think that at the core of any of these dilemmas, like should you be scheduled, should you be impromptu, is your community. And I used a scheduled show to build a community, to build my brand, and to build a community that people could go there week after week and they could see me there. And I did that for the first year that Stubb and I went live on Wine Antics. We must have done, I think actually in 2015, we must have done 40 something shows out of the 52 weeks. That was a lot of shows, a lot of live streaming, but it started that foundation and built that community. And now we're changing things 3 years later. I can't believe to say this is our third year of doing.
It's crazy, isn't it?
I know. And don't even get me on how many, like, looking at other people and seeing how far they've come and then trying to measure myself to that.
You can't do that to yourself.
It's so brutal. We're humans, and anyway, let's not go down that path. But I built people that realized what I was doing, and they met me and they stayed personal with me. My audience is very personal on Wine Antics. And they message me and they ask me, well, are you going live? Are you doing this? Or what's going on? And I've had to change things because life happens. And I found that there's a very good core group of people that I'm very happy with that come out and listen to my content. And the tools are getting easier for you to be flexible and to keep open communication with your community. And that's really what it is. Open communication with your community and having people that care, and whatever ways that you can do to get them to be a fan. I'm sorry, I have Brian Fanzo's speech in my head. It's funny.
As a creator, I mean, I find it difficult. This is a total aside to what you just said, but I could tell the hesitation when you said the word fan. I mean, I don't like to call people fans. I don't like to call them followers. I try to call them friends, but I mean, they're kind of all of the above, and you know, it's a tricky thing. But
I think when we're talking in the marketing sense, this is a marketing discussion. This is a very candid, almost clinical discussion about it. Of course, right. My audience for Wine Antics Live, again, another word that not everybody loves to use, are my friends. They are primarily industry peers. They are friends. They are family members. Like, from my personal page, I keep it very close because there is a lot of competition in the wine content creation space. So, and I'm relatively new and untested, and new media hasn't caught wildfire like it has in the tech and marketing space. So in the wine space. So I'm very personal with them. Any of those people that watch me, I would say 20 people consistently week to week watch me.
Right.
They are able to reach out to me. They probably have my phone number, but I'm just talking about it in this space. And nurturing that community seems like where people are really putting the social back into social media.
Sure.
So this is going to be a benefit for the long run, and it won't matter so much if you're going consistently live or being impromptu.
Yeah, I haven't given my phone number to anybody who's reached out to me on the internet in a fan follower capacity yet. So
I can have your phone number. I do have your phone number, Todd.
But I don't consider you one of those people. I'm talking about somebody who, like, they start listening to my podcast and I have no idea who they are, and they decide to reach out to me through Instagram, which is what most of them are doing. And someone like that has given me, or I've given them my phone number. That hasn't happened yet, but you know, they're like you, I mean, Ross, Nez. I mean, there's lots of people that we're all professionals and we're all working hard. Yes, of course. That's different. But
just like Steven said, viewers become participants, participants become
and
friends.
I agree
and that's
completely
exactly
with that.
our path.
Absolutely. And I agree with that. My grammar school podcast, the volume of reach outs that I'm getting from people through Instagram, the private messaging, is insane. And these people are becoming friends very quickly, and it's a great thing. So I do encourage that. Like, I wouldn't be scared to give out my phone number. Hell, I have a business where the phone number on the business site forwards to my cell phone. So I get calls all the time. And I'm out there. I don't mind it, but I just haven't gotten to that point yet where it's like somebody found me in Snapchat and now they have my phone number. You know, it hadn't happened.
I actually have a couple people in the early days. It's like 3 years ago when I was pretty active on Snapchat, before I was like, okay, I can either do Snapchat and go the path of stories, or I can try to really get into live stream and production. And we have these crossroads in all of our lives where we have to make decisions, because I couldn't do it all. I couldn't become all absorbed at that time by social media. And a couple of them really have, but again, it's Steven's path. Viewers become participants. They participate in your life. You make a personal connection, and then they become friends. And I think that's how a lot of sales models are starting to go as well. You're not just selling a product, you're selling that trust factor.
Yes.
Like, I like you. I see what you're doing. You're an expert. Your portfolio is sitting all over social media. What works for you? And I caught myself doing that today. I have a friend of mine who runs Women Veterans Interactive, which is a nonprofit to help women veterans. And she's been trying to lose weight over the last 30 days. And it's the New Year's. We all have that, in the back of our head. I'd like to lose some pounds, right? And something that was working for her, I was like, oh, because I trust her, I want to buy that product. Now, I've had the complete opposite happen to me as well with my car. I own a Subaru, and they are doing metrics behind what my car is, how many miles I have. They're taking it from the checkups, right? They're learning all about me as a number, as data. And then they're trying to abuse the system. They're both trying to sell something, right? Both people are trying to make money because she has an affiliate to this weight loss thing.
Sure.
And Subaru just saw the numbers. They ran it as a benefit analysis, right? And they say, okay, she has low mileage. The car is in good condition. It's popular. People will want it. So now they're targeting me and coming for me and trying to get me to sell back my car. So I am so appalled by that tactic because I'm smart enough to know the only reason why you're talking to me today on the phone, even though you went out and made the actual call, which is above email marketing, right?
Right.
Is because you've run the numbers and you want something from me, but I don't know you and I don't trust you. So I've already got my wall up because you're unknown. But Ginger, who's my friend with Women Veterans Interactive, is selling a product, but she's gone through and she's done the work. She's talking to her friends about it, and I trust her and I can see the results. And I think that is the path. That is where sales are going.
I
didn't even mean to bring that point up, but look at that. I'm a genius when I get on live stream.
There you go. Well, that's the beauty of live streaming is you never know where the conversation's going to go. I mean, that's one of the things I like about it. It's it's like we're hanging out and having a beer and we're talking, to people and, we bring in some other people that, if they leave a comment or whatnot, but the conversation flows. I think it makes for the best broadcasts. It makes for the best podcast when you have two people that it's not completely structured and scripted and stays necessarily on point. I mean, people love surprises.
They do. Oh, I got stubbed good. So as another tangential moment, I got stubbed good. So Stubb is my co-host on Wine Antics Live. And we did a New Year's special yesterday. So we're just, again, checking in, seeing how people are doing, if they're continuing to drink water and pursue their healthy goals, or they're drowning their sorrows in wine. And I pulled out all of last year's resolutions that we did live for Stubb and went through them without even telling him. And you're right, live streaming and keeping it fun, keeping it fresh and even surprising your co-host after 3 years really does make for great content.
Well, like I said, you never know where it's going to go. I mean, Bree Palmer, we mentioned her before the show that she's been listening to my grammar school podcast, and she went onto Twitter and she said, if anyone could talk about boiled peanuts as long as you do and actually make a point out of it or something, she made some comment. And I forgot about that because I do batch record. And so I, sometimes the podcast is released, 2-3 weeks after I've recorded it. And I was like, what is she talking about? And I kind of remembered that I made a point about, if I used to be in a business where there were boiled peanuts and we were selling them. And I was making a point that if I had that business still, then I would be Instagramming the shit out of the boiled peanuts and geotagging and letting people know. And, but that's the interesting thing is that who would have, that resonated with her. Even, I don't know if she likes boiled peanuts or not, but it was just kind of amusing to her that I'm talking about boiled peanuts and making it an example. And I went off on this whole tangent and brought it back and tied it up. And that's what happens when you're doing live. That's what happens when you're unscripted and you're having conversations with people. And, sometimes it ends up being nonsense and sometimes it ends up being brilliant.
But it's all personal. As long as you keep it personal, I think it benefits you in looking at it kind of clinically and from a marketing perspective. Even though these may seem like tangents, but I'm letting you know a little bit about who I am.
Absolutely.
Right? I'm telling you about my friends and kind of talking about what they're passionate about. And I think that even if you feel like you're getting off course, as long as you're making logical connections,
Sure.
Viewers really enjoy that.
Well, yeah, it's the relatable content.
Yeah.
There's going to be people out there that don't give a crap about hearing about boiled peanuts, but there's going to be people out there that they love boiled peanuts, or they have a store that sells something similar to boiled peanuts that's like all the rage. And, there's every little piece of content. One of the things I talk about in the grammar school is that, particularly in Instagram stories is go ahead and record and share the minutia in your life. Random tidbits of nothing, because people will relate to it. And an example that I often cite is when I was doing Snapchat and I was doing tips on Snapchat every day, whenever I would get a box, this was when I was building my studio. You might enjoy this, but I was building my studio and I was constantly ordering things from Amazon, and they were coming back. I'd get something, I'd try it out. It wasn't right. I'd send it back, but I was always getting these bubbles, these big air bubbles that help cushion the thing.
Yeah.
So I made it a shtick that in my Snapchat that, oh, look, finally my box from Amazon got here. I can't wait to get to the bubbles. It didn't matter what the equipment was. I want to get to my bubbles. And then I would point the camera at the ground and it would show me stomping the bubbles. Oh. And a lot of the times I'm wearing like socks with some sandals. I wear sandals in the house with socks because I want to be my feet warm and comfortable. And I don't like walking barefoot. So I have the sandals, so I'm stomping them. And so people would comment on the socks with sandals, which was always amusing. But what happened was I was doing this often enough because I had so much equipment coming back and forth with Amazon that the bubbles thing became a thing. And people were sending me them stomping their bubbles in videos.
No way.
Yeah, privately sending me videos. Hey, Todd, I got some bubbles. And they'd point the camera at the ground. Some people even put socks on with their sandals, popping bubbles. It's kind of like Bree Palmer. If you know Bree Palmer was doing like chats when she was upset about something. She'd go sit in the closet under her clothes.
I did watch a lot of her streams.
And she would have these closet chats, and that became a thing. Like people were anxious for the closet chats. It was relatable. People feel that way, like they could go hang out and hide in a closet. So all this stuff that might seem silly, popping bubbles, sitting in a closet, whatever else, shopping for beer or wine. I like taking people to Total Wine when I'm buying beer and showing them what I'm getting, what beer sucks and what beer's good. And, this is all relatable. It brings people close. It's not selling anything except for you as a human being that people might like you for. They might, they enjoy, they're entertained, they sympathize, they empathize. I mean, it's great stuff. I love minutia in videos and in just social media content in general.
Well, building a personal brand, which you are doing, is really inviting people into nuances of life.
Yeah.
And having fun with it. And then when you're ready to sell, when you have value and you can sell that value, such as a course or such as maybe a membership model or an event, then you can call on that. Like that's why we build lists. That's why we build communities, is because we're providing value and sharing our lives and sharing what we're learning in any kind of relationship, right? In any kind of friendship, any kind of romantic relationship, you do the things selflessly, and then you hope in return, when you need something or when you have something that has value and you want to share that they will in turn support you.
Yeah.
So it's just
it happens, and it happens. I mean, I can attest, you can attest, it happens.
It does. It really does. And it surprises me every flipping time. It's not even kidding. Anytime anybody supports what I do, blows my mind. It's just because I'm doing what I really like, and I can't believe that anybody.
I feel a lot the same way. But we shouldn't feel that way, because everybody has something to give, and you just have to get out there and start giving it. And people listening on the live video podcast, think about that as you're trying to get in front of the camera, that you do have something to give. And there's going to be a lot of people out there that you resonate with for all sorts of reasons. And you shouldn't necessarily be surprised by it. I mean, the world's a big place, and people are amused and entertained or educated by all sorts of things that you don't even I mean, once you get started, you start realizing like, wow, that is something that really resonated. I would have never thought, you know, like the bubbles thing. Who would have thought like something dumb like that would be something that would be a thing? But it became a thing. And look at memes. I mean, just look at memes and how, you know, pictures of cats and peering through holes in the ceiling. And, you know, there's food memes and there's Trump memes and there's, you know, there's Obama memes. We'll talk both sides. But I mean, there's memes, and memes, you know, are generally stupid, but there's truth behind them. That's what makes them amusing.
Yeah, you're absolutely right.
It's relatable. So, wow, we really got away from live video today.
We did, but I mean, the thing is, I think as video goes forward, it's not just about the tool that is live video. I mean, it's a great means to an end of authenticity, of building relationships, of talking about products, of selling products, right? But this is relationship management. This is community management. This is building a personal brand. And, you know, I've really enjoyed working with Jonathan Tripp, and as we were mentioning in the pre-chat.
Right.
In 2017, we did a lot of things. We learned a lot of things. We said yes to a lot of things. And then in the latter part of 2017, we kind of sat back and we're like, okay, where's this really going? Like, how do we focus on this? And I think at the core of, even as a production company, we look at live streaming as a piece of a greater pie. It's a part of your community. It's a part of your relationship with others, and it's a part of your digital footprint or digital strategy.
Right.
So it's all relative. It really is.
So what do you got going on here in 2018 as we move into 2018 live streaming? What would you like to share with the folks?
So many good things that I'm at this crossroad of budget and opportunity. And I guess that's a good place to be, right? Like, there's so many opportunities that I'm seeing, but my budget is still back in 2017, right? For right now, really excited about Ladies Go Live and what we're doing for International Women's Day coming up on March 8th. We've got a nice structure for the first quarter set up, and we're going to go live. We're going to talk about it. We're going to encourage more ladies to go live. That was the core of what we were doing. We're banding together. We're showing strength and helping other women to go live internationally. I really love that we have that international component. And then with VitMug, like I said, we're focusing, we took a step back later in 2017, and we're going to come back and we're going to announce some stuff, maybe some courses, cool, maybe some additions to Let's Live Stream. We're probably not going to increase in terms of live streaming itself, but we want to grow with the way live stream is growing and have a stable future for not just 2018, but for the next long run, because we believe live streaming has that. I'm hoping to go to some veteran conference this year and talk about new media in veterans. I would love to get on a speaking gig, and I've already talked to James Van Puyen, who does a lot of the Tough Mudder races, and he's really big in the podcast movement. I'm like, well, why don't we try to get on the veteran circuit? There's a military influencer conference that's going to Orlando in late September. I would really love to speak on a panel about new media there in the veteran space. And then digital wise, I'm excited about cryptocurrency. I'm not even gonna lie. I'm really excited to see where that goes and see what I can do to make a footprint in the sand.
There you go. Cryptocurrency. Everybody's getting into cryptocurrency right now. I see all sorts of people starting podcasts, broadcasts.
Yeah.
A lot of the people in our space are moving there quickly, and I'd like to do it too. I just don't know that I can take more on. We'll see, but it's so early in the creator space that everybody's getting nutty about it that I think there's plenty of time to consider it.
But it's relational. Like, I want to get into the crypto space enough to, number one, learn. Because if you're not learning, and we spend lots of time reading digital articles, we read articles all the time, and I want to be knowledgeable about it and how it's impacting creators and how it's impacting brands and marketing, because it already is, and you got to stay up with that. But so Lottie Hearn, who is one of the women with Ladies Go Live, just had a woman on from Digital Wealth Coach. She's the digital wealth coach on Facebook, and taught me a ton today just about learning and thinking about how any data can be turned into a digital barter, like a digital currency that is a bartering system.
Right.
And that just blows my mind. Anything you're doing, your data on Instagram and strategies and people and viewerships and what goes like the bubble pop, like how the reactions to that and how that worked. I mean, just think about that. That turns into digital currency. Basically, any information turns into digital currency.
Yeah.
That just blows my mind.
Yeah. It is amazing. And I mean, sharing things. I mean, you know, my son and daughter have become characters in my videos, and, you know, that I don't know if anybody ever knew their names, but my boy is the Dude and my daughter's the Bug, and, you know, people know them as the Dude and the Bug. And, you know, I still use that to this day. I mean, if I take a picture of my kid, I'll put the Dude on the picture or the Bug, and people love that. And I've had people tell me that they love to see when I share my family sometimes, you know, and it's never been in a creepy way. I mean, I know when you say that, it can almost sound kind of creepy, but it's never been that. It's always been wholesome and genuine. But yeah, people love to be let in. And I think live does it. I think social media does. I think we're in an interesting time, and I mean, who knows where it's going to go? It just seems to move so fast, and we've been doing it, like you said, for 3 years, and it's just, I mean,
completely
wow.
changed.
It is. It's changing at a rapid pace, and it behooves anybody who's listening, particularly on the podcast, who might be thinking about getting started in live video and social media. You know, you don't just do one. Like, you don't just say, okay, I'm going to do live video and promote my business with live video. Well, it's not going to end there, because then it's Instagram, and then it's Facebook, and then it's Periscope, and then it's, you know, it's going to become other things, and embrace that. Don't be scared of it, and embrace it and use it and learn, because you'll be up to speed before you know it. And actually, you never really are up to speed. Like, I consider myself very well tuned into a lot of what's going on, and I'm totally out of it all the time, even though I'm working hard to. I know you feel the same way.
I totally feel the same way.
And there's so many platforms, and it's like, I forget which platform offers this as opposed to that. And, you know, there's a lot of things about Facebook when it comes to live video. It's like, I don't know if you can do that or not. Like, and I consider myself a fairly decent and knowledgeable Facebook Live professional, but it's like, there's still tons of shit I don't know.
Appropriate use of the shit word.
Yeah.
I was doing Wine Antics Live last night, and I told Stubb, I'm like, look, they've put the embed code for the video right here in the dashboard. I could take, if I had thought about it and knew that it was right there, I could have taken 10 minutes and created a place for this in my website.
Right.
I was so mad at that. I'm like, because I knew it existed, but it was buried under so many layers, and it just wasn't worth my time when I was going live. But now that they have it right there in Facebook, I'm like, ooh, I'm gonna put that on my website.
Yeah, and you don't know when you start creating, you learn things, right? You teach yourself things. You go on YouTube and you learn things. And you know, I had a recent, I did a story on Instagram Stories, and I record my stories outside of Instagram in an app, and then I use another app to lay a watermark over it if I want to put some graphics or anything. And then I use another app. Let's say it's a 4-minute video. Well, you can't import that into Stories. You have to chop that up into 15-second chunks. And I have an app that will take a 4-minute video and perfectly separate it into 15-minute chunks so that I can send it right into Stories one at a time and do it very quickly.
I didn't even know that.
And yeah, so I did that the other day. I did a video where it started because I did a video where I bought a clamp for my cell phone that hung from a visor, and I drove around my neighborhood and did I sped up the frame rate. So you sped around my neighborhood really quickly and got to see my neighborhood at the fast frame rate, whatever they call that, the time lapse. And people were like, how did you hang your phone? I got a lot of people that were saying, how did you hang your phone? I want that. Well, it's a $6 Amazon part. So I decided to make a 4-minute product review video, and I used the swipe up feature on Instagram to send people to the Amazon. Even though it's only $5, I might make 2 cents. I don't know. I might make any sense. But so I did that. So some guy contacts me who's got 3 or 4 accounts. One of them has over 300,000 followers. He's knocking it out of the ballpark on Instagram, right? And he's great. He and I have been communicating a lot. I don't know if he listens to Entrepreneur Live Video, which is this podcast. He listens to Grammar School, but he has a Camaro enthusiasts Instagram page. So his thing is Camaro videos and Camaro pictures for people who like Camaros. And he and I we've struck it off and we're having a great time talking to each other. But he's like, how did you do that with the video? What apps did you use? So I sent him all the apps. So, but the point is, here you've got a guy who's running several awesome car enthusiast Instagram pages and crushing it. Hundreds of thousands of loyal followers, sending him content, talking with each other. He's got this whole community going, and he still needed help figuring out how to send a 4-minute video and chop it up perfectly and send it into Instagram. So my point is that you get started. I mean, I'm new at a lot of this Instagram stuff. You just get started, teach yourself. You don't know what you don't know. You don't know what other people don't know. And you just get started and do what works for you. If you see something that you like, find a way to make it. Yeah, or ask, find a way to make it. And by the end of the year, the shit you've learned will dazzle. All of a sudden, you're a professional at whatever it is that you know. And, you know, so my live streaming audience, I mean, get started with the live streaming. Don't be scared by the software and the tech and everything. I mean, you just got to get started with your phone and not even a microphone. Just turn your phone on and go. Right.
That's all you need. It's the best place to start, honestly. So I'm on my YouTube channel. I've been cleaning it up, and that's been one of my resolutions is to clean my YouTube up, right? I found videos, I think from 2015 or really early 2016, where I was trying to do a scope a day in May, which means a Periscope video every day in May. And I was watching those videos, and I was like, dang, I've come a long way since then. And I mean, technology is...
Don't take those down if you're cleaning up your account. Leave them up.
I don't, because I think it's important to show growth. Yeah. I think it's important to let people into your journey and your path. And well, I'm like, oh my God, I look like an idiot right now. It's only been with the all of the platforms are embracing live streaming. And while I've learned a lot of them have caught up with what people are doing and making it easier and more professional. So it's all there for you, and it's a rabbit hole. And if you don't think you're learning enough, you really are, as long as you're trying. And all of us that are doing it and creating it are playing catch up in some regard or another. You know, if I've given up, it doesn't end. And that's great. That's job security.
It is true.
Job security. Todd, you're really great on Instagram. And maybe you do some on Facebook. I don't think you're as strong on Facebook.
I'm giving up on Facebook in a lot of ways.
Yeah. And so you may be playing catch up in a little while. You may be going back through and cleaning some things up, just like what I'm doing with YouTube. And that's okay too.
Sure.
You just do what you can, take off chunks, and just keep the passion and keep the drive. That's probably the biggest thing for anybody.
Words of wisdom. Hey, Jen, where can people find you if they want to learn more about Jenn Nelson and get involved in the things that you have going on?
Absolutely. So there's 2 places, wineantics.live. That is what I do weekly as wine, and everybody loves wine, or at least I would hope. And sometimes we talk about beer and we talk about spirits as well, because beverages are amazing. And then vitmug.com. We have a lot of what we're doing. Let's live stream content is there. So the only Twitter chat and live show about live streaming, very meta of us. That content is at vitmug.com. So 2 places, wineantics.live and vitmug.com.
Jen, thank you so much for being on the show today. I had a great time. Folks, folks who are new to the podcast or who are listening to the podcast, Jen and I have done a lot of interviews back and forth over the last 2 years. So it's always great to have Jen on. She's full of great insight on live streaming in particular. So I encourage you, if you're interested in knowing more about Jen or knowing more about live streaming, to check out her Facebook page and check out the endeavors that she's involved in. Great stuff. Her and Jonathan both have worked very hard in live streaming, and there's a lot of example of trial and error and knocking it out of the ballpark. We all have that. And it's like you said, there's value to it. I think that the people that are new getting into live streaming need to see. I mean, that's why Gary Vaynerchuk leaves his old, ridiculous looking videos online, and you compare them to what he's doing now. I mean, you see that this guy has, he paid his dues and he figured it out. One of my favorites is Derek Halperin. I don't know if you know Derek Halperin, but look him up. Halperin, I think. But Derek, he's a marketer, and he kind of like a Gary Vaynerchuk, not as big, not close to as big, I don't think. But his old videos where his hair is bad and he's pudgy, and he's wearing shirts that aren't fit right. And now you look at him and he's slick as can be, and he loves to point to his old stuff, and we all go through that. So you just got to get started.
No, absolutely.
Nobody. Hell, I look at those old Derek Halperin videos. I'm like, man, he that's awesome that he felt confident enough to go out there and do it.
Exactly.
And if he can do it, anyone can do it. I mean, he didn't have his shit together, and now he's in charge of $1 million thing or whatever. I mean, he does very well. Well, listen, Jenn, thanks again so much for being on the show. I greatly appreciate having you on, and love what you're doing. And you're always welcome on my show. I hope to have you back here sometime again this year.
Absolutely. And thank you so much for having me and all that you do. And every time I talk to you, we share. You're super open. I love communicating with you.
Love it as well. Jenn, take care and stick around. We'll talk after the show. Folks, listening to the podcast, thank you for listening. Hope you have a great day. Take care.
Thanks so much for listening to Entrepreneur Live Video with Todd.LIVE. For more great content and to stay up to date, visit www.todd.live and on facebook.com/Todd.LIVE page. If you enjoyed today's episode, please leave a review and subscribe, and we'll catch you next time on Entrepreneur Live Video with Todd.LIVE.